Greetings class and welcome to Hamline University School Finance. The purpose of this video is to help you transition from Blackboard to Canvas. Also to give you a bit of a jump start as we look at the navigation process and the expectations for the first week of the course. As you look at the left navigation screen, you'll see the first thing you come to is the home page. And on the home page you'll see a beautiful picture of Hamline University and two links at the bottom. At the bottom there's a link called Getting Started. And of course I won't read these to you, I'll let you do that, but in the Getting Started area it talks a lot about those essential items such as the syllabus, the sidebar, the different buttons and the calendars, and I would recommend that you read this and review that to get a good start. The other item that you'll see on the right side of that picture is about your instructor. Besides being the instructor for this course, I'm also the principal of ECU High School. I have the opportunity to provide leadership for ECU High School on a $16 million budget, along with that supports 2,200 students, 230 faculty, a $100 million complex, and a 300-acre facility that goes along with it. And so as we talk about finance, very often I will use District 196 in Eagan, Apple Valley, Rosemont as a case study, but at the same time it isn't about that. It's about your district, about your goals, and about school finance in the state of Minnesota. The next item that you'll find is each week you will find at least one announcement. I will send out an announcement on Sunday of each week describing and summarizing the learning, and also sometimes along the week to support the learning or answer any questions that might have come in common. This first one talks a little bit about we're still a slight under construction. Right now, as you go through the Canvas website, you'll see that it's fairly complete, but there are some items that we're fine-tuning, and everything will be fine-tuned and ready to roll by March 25th. Again, as you click around on the Canvas website, you'll find out that information is pretty solid at this point. The next item that you'll find is the syllabus. The syllabus is something very traditional that you'll find in most of your Hamline classes. At the same time, a few of those items are still being fine-tuned. At the bottom of the syllabus page will also be a chronological list of to-dos. You may also click on the traditional web link and get the document if you'd like to print that. Another option that you have is to click on an icon to the right, and you will have an on-screen view. With that on-screen view, it'll come a little bit smaller. If you'd like to see that a little bit bigger, all you need to do is zoom your screen. A couple items I'd like to point out on the syllabus is, first of all, some critical dates. Critical dates, with the Canvas course itself, we go from March 25th to May 12th. We'll have our first WebEx session the second Wednesday, April 3rd, from 6 o'clock to 7:30, where we'll primarily review the expectations of learning, talk a little bit about content, and also talk about the items that are upcoming. Our first session on campus, and our only session on campus, is April 6th. And more information will come. That'll be a Saturday from 9 until 3:30. Next, we'll also have a WebEx session on April 24th from 6 o'clock to 7:30, similar to that first WebEx session. And one of the things I always like to do is additional WebEx sessions as you desire. If you have some questions, if there's a group that like to meet, would like to have more information, we can do that just about any time through coordination. Another item I'd like to point out, there's a lot of traditional information in the syllabus, but on page 7, we will let the campus site catch up with us, but on page 7, one of the things that you will find is a summary of the 7-week sessions beginning on March 25th. Every week you'll find a little bit about the reading. You'll find some items to support your reading. I always call that beyond the book resources. And also it will show the specific information that needs to be accomplished during that week. It will also give you a projection into the coming weeks, things that you can prepare for. Bottom line is you have 7 weeks in front of you. Most of that will be very, very solid. Occasionally we'll make slight adjustments, but we'll do that by consensus and communication with the group. As we go back to the campus site, we can minimize that and bring it back to normal. You can go through the process in a couple different ways. We'll go to the modules. Each week there'll be a focused folder that will provide all the information that you'll need. As you begin the process, there is some information that says start here and just talks a little bit about what that first module will be. If you have general questions, you can click on the general questions for the instructor, and it's just like a regular discussion question. You can also contact me through my email, which is listed on the top under the Welcome Start Here. There's a couple different ways to navigate each week. The first thing that you want to do is look at this week's overview, content and essential learnings and assignments. Each week there will be a summary of the content that what we will be studying, and also a little bit about the assignments. This week also has the course description and the statement of purpose, just to make sure you understand that what our course's focus is. And this course will look broad-based and very focused in the state of Minnesota, and look at the laws and regulations, rules that goes along with the budget process. But we'll also constantly come back to how does it support your learning community and how does it support teaching and learning. There's two different ways to navigate. One is if you look at the bottom of the screen, go back to the previous screen, you can click here. Go on to the next, you can click on the other side for the next button. We're going to go back to the module so we get a better picture of the overview. You can see there are 5 different areas. One of the things that I believe is very important is the first week 1 assignment summary, tasks, and to-dos. What is your to-do list for that week? And you can look at this in a couple different ways. One, if you're a traditionalist and you like to have that document, you can click on the web link and that will produce a document. On the very bottom, you can also see it in matrix form that follows the sequence of the learning for the week, the overview of the topic, a little bit about instruction, some support items, including your reading, and also some of the items, as I mentioned before, beyond the book, voices about the state of Minnesota funding. Each one of these videos are about 3 minutes, very time effective. And I also wanted you to take a look at the history of finance, which is a 2-page document that gives you an idea of the evolution of the finance history. And the last 2 is looking coast to coast, looking at the difference from New York to Arizona. What are the similarities and what are the differences? And each one of those videos are about 3 minutes long, very quick, and you can see very clearly that the foundation of school finance is very much the same from state to state, but there's also a lot of different nuances. If you look to the right, I want to make sure that you're hearing a lot of different professional voices. You're reviewing the reading, you're hearing my professional voice and my experience, but also from the field afar, from north and south, east and west, that you have a broad perspective of school finance. I want you to be able to reflect on those video voices. How do they support the quality that you have experienced within your organization? And how may you incorporate those voices and your leadership to support outcomes? And at the very bottom, there'll always be those assignments. Again, if we go back up to the top, you'll see the traditional document that you can select. You'll also see a little icon to the right of that document that, again, will open that document up within your viewer. And again, you can bring that to a broader perspective. And you can get rid of that item by minimizing it again. At the very bottom, you can go back to the modules link, or you can go to the bottom of the tab, click Next, and that'll bring you to your first assignment, your discussion question. Discussion questions will happen every week. There'll be a traditional way that we do this. And again, all of this is stated in writing. At the top, if you look at that, by Thursday, a student will review the reading, the other resources, and address one of the 2 items listed below. After you're completed with your discussion question and put in a proper response, usually a proper response is a paragraph to 2 or 3 paragraphs with some APA citings. I care what you think. At the same time, I also want it to be supported through academic resources. Your voice becomes strengthened as you use academic resources to support that process. You'll post that by Thursday, and then by Sunday, you'll respond to one of your classmates. It is critical that you look at the items and information that your classmates have provided. You'll get broad insights from that, and you want to respond, and we want to make sure we have substance content and engagement with your classmates. If you look at the top right, you'll see a 3-dot icon. That 3-dot icon will show you the rubric. The rubric is how this will be assessed. If you look at the critical thinking, that you're going to add content that draws significant conclusions that thoroughly defended with examples and evidence. So again, I really care what your experiences is. I care what your insights are. I care what the interpretation from your readings. At the same time, your voice gains strength when it's academically supported. I care about how you write. I want you to write in a professional, academic way, and writing will be assessed also. And also the engagement that you provide with your colleagues. Again, as you go finish your discussion question, you can move on through the next button, or again, going back to the modules button. So I'll click the next button. And And that brings you to another part of the discussion, and this is called forward thinking. Great thinkers, great leaders, great administrators are reflective leaders. And those reflective leaders, through this process, I want to know what you have learned during the week, what questions you have, and what points do you want to share. I want to know what you have learned because I want to make sure find out what you believe is important. If there's some information that I need to provide as a group, I want to make sure I provide that on Canvas, or I want to follow up with you if you don't have a clear understanding of some concepts. And of course, in your school, in your district, with your experience, you're always going to have some critical information to share. This isn't a long experience. This is a 5-point experience. And I want to make sure, again, at the very end, we reflect on our learning. We synthesize that information and ask questions. And also, you provide additional information that we can leverage throughout the entire class. Of course, going back to either the modules button or the button on the bottom for next. Module 1 resources. One of the things I'll put in every week is some additional resources. I'll have some enrichment resources. One of the things that I put in this week is School Finance 101, the Monticello Public Schools, their perspective, how they fund their schools, a medium size school district. And also, there's another great document, a document that I think is really supportive of your understanding, but it's from the state of Pennsylvania. Again, those are 2 enrichment items. I would encourage you to engage with those enrichment items. Those enrichment items generally are not long, but I believe they're powerful to support your learning. One other item in here, as we look to week 4, we want to get a jump start. What I want to make sure that you do is look at your field experience. I will open that up. If you click again to the right, that item will open in your screen. And a field experience is a dynamic experience that you get out and you talk to educators in the field. As you look at the field study, it's a general method of collection of data to enhance authentic understanding that involves observation, interviewing, artifact collection, review, and analysis. And that's what you're going to be doing depending on your area of licensure, your areas of aspiration. For example, if you desire to be a principal and you're working on your principal licensure, director, or special education, I'd like to have you focus in one of those areas. Again, the purpose is to interview and to collect information about the district annual budget, related artifacts, and it's also important to understand the focused, authentic perspective of those individuals providing leadership. If you look at point 2, this is another important item that you'll also collect that information for your week 4 field study assignment, but we'll also engage in that during our Saturday session. So one of the things I'd like to have you begin to collect, and you can do this through websites or connections with your principal in your building. Ask for a copy of the school district annual report. Anything to do with budget calendars, money allotments, projected enrollment, FTE, non-certified staff, certified staff, operating capital. Many of the items are always available on websites throughout your district, but if you sit down with your principal, more than likely they'll be able to give you those items. And we're going to be bringing a lot of those artifacts to class on that Saturday. I'll send out more information and reminders about that. At the same time, I want to make sure that you get a jump start to be able to engage in that process. One of the things that you'll also find is as you engage in an interview, if you're going to interview your principal, I have a recommendation. There are several points and concepts that I'd like to have you talk to that person about. It does not have to be point by point, item by item. At the same time, this gives you a frame of reference to begin to look at the questions to ask. If you are interviewing a district person, if that's the area that you aspire to or the way that you're working on your licensure, that also has specific items that you can look for. This one has 14 general questions that you can engage with. Of course, there can be more, there can be a slightly less, but this is a good ballpark to start. If you are a special ed director candidate, this is another option for you also. So you will have 3 different options to engage in. And again, we will follow up on that through our WebEx session and also through our sessions on Saturday, on the full Saturday session. At the very bottom of the screen, you'll notice that there are no more next. We're at the end of the modules for that week. We'll go back to the module tab and you'll see those items. Hopefully that gives you an idea of how Canvas works. That's a very user-friendly tool. One of the things that you can always do, there's many different ways to look at different options. If you're on your home screen and you look to the right, you'll also see a list of to-dos. Those to-dos will give you a very, very focused perspective of what will be happening during that week. You can also look to the left and there's a calendar button. On that calendar button, you have a calendar matrix. It will also show you what to do on that first day, items to kick off the week, items to complete, and what those deadlines are. Let's go back to the home screen. Again, I hope that this short video has helped you, give you a kickoff for the course. Also, a little bit about navigation. If you have questions, please contact me whenever you do have that question. I'll be very, very happy to answer that. Again, we kick off on March 25th. Our first WebEx session will be middle of the week, April 3rd. The April 6th will be a Saturday that we engage in a full session on campus on a Saturday. And then April 24th we'll also have a WebEx session. And as I mentioned before, if there are questions that you have, I'm happy to contact you via phone, via email. And also if we need to have another short WebEx session for a group that needs to have a better understanding, I'm always happy to do that. Again, if you have questions, please give me a contact, and I look forward to meeting you and engaging with you in this course. Best wishes for success. Again, have a great week.